Morning, guys. Let me just get my camera set up here. Let's see. That looks good. Make sure you can hear me as well. Okay, I think that's good. Let's see if we can't get this up a little higher. Okay, I think that should be good. Good morning, guys. We are ready to plan. We are saying goodbye to February. This is what my February monthly ended up looking like for the end of the month. Um, I love the way it looks at the end of the month. Um, I may add a couple little stickers in here. I don't really have that many stickers left on February. So if we come over here and look, see there's only a couple little stickers that I have left. So I did pretty well using up my February stickers. I love these new sheets because this is really a great number of stickers for me. As you can see, it's busy. There's a lot of little stickers all over the place, but it's not too over the top crazy. Um, and so it really just works out quite nicely. So I think I'm good there. I don't want to start a tradition of using the sidebar just for stickers, or habit, I guess, because I occasionally put some in here. But then if we look at March, if you planned March with me, you'll know that I added some tasks for the month in the sidebar so that I would make sure that I knew that I had some things coming up for March. So as you can see, before I start the month, it looks fairly clean. And then by the time I get to the end of the month, there's a lot more things that have found their way into the planner. So we are going to plan the week of March 2nd to 8th today. And to do this, I have got two packages from the Ferris Wheel Press that I'm super excited. I'm going to open and swatch today. I just got the second one on Friday, and I haven't had any time to open it yet. I don't know if you heard my wrap-up video where I talked about my week, but I have not gotten home before 8 o'clock any night this week. And that's quite a lot. I leave for work in the morning, come home, and there's really not a lot of time between when I get home and when I need to, you know, go to sleep and get ready for the next day. So I haven't had a lot of time to do a lot of things. Yesterday, we were out all day. We didn't end up doing the hike, but we did end up walking around the engineering expo all day at the Science Center. So we did get steps in and things like that. But again, I have felt like I have not had a lot of time home. And so, um, there hasn't been a lot of time to catch up on things. And so swatching is one of those, creating a swatching video of the inks. Good morning, Keisha. Happy Sunday. Your last day of rest week. Oh, I would look forward to a rest week. Rest weeks are great. I'm glad that you plan those into your schedule. That's awesome. I had the opposite of a rest week this week. I had a very busy week. um, so this week we're going to look at, we're now into March. Um, And there's quite a bit going on here in March as well. So, the first month of the year and even, sometimes February, I have a fairly relaxed schedule. And then as the weather starts to warm up, my schedule starts to get a little bit crazy. Um, and this month is no exception. I do have a new desk pad, but I'm waiting to switch it out until after I swatch my inks. So apologies for the, you know, ink stained desk pad. And that's why we have them. So I am going to do kind of a traditional layout this week. Next week is probably going to be different because I am traveling again next week. I'm going back to Florida to the project site. But because I have these inks that I need to swatch, I figured I am going to take the opportunity to use this absolutely adorable ink fountain pen washi from the Coffee Monsters Co. It was a collaboration that she did with Wonder Pens, and that's one of her, or it was one of her local pen shops when I believe when she was in college. Um, and so I think it is just adorable. Now, I don't know how well this shows up in the camera, but there are little words all along behind these little emojis. See if I can get it to catch the light. Um, it is just an absolutely adorable washi. We've got all kinds of little ink spots in uh, the foiling as well. So, but this week we are definitely going to need kind of a um, schedule that feels a bit uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I need to be on my game with my schedule this week because I have a lot of things that are not the norm for me. Um, so I want to make sure that I'm paying attention. So I am actually, normally I go 8 to 4, trying to be real ambitious, thinking that I'm going to actually work from 8 to 4. But the reality is I'm really starting at 8:30 most days. Um, just because I have trouble getting out the door at 4. So I'm going to put it back down here till 8:30 because I do need to be a bit more realistic with my schedule this week. And then 4:30. It's nice to kind of hope that that things are going to work out a certain way, but the reality is sometimes different, and sometimes we just really, really need to show the reality. And this is one of those weeks that I just really, I need to put not an aspirational schedule, but a real schedule. Um, most weeks I can work around it if it's, a little bit off. So if let's look at last week. 9, 9, 8:30, 8:30, 9. Um, and a lot of that was because I knew I had to stay later. So I ended up doing some work here in the evening after we got home and things like that. Um, so yeah, I need something more real because I need to be able to see this time down here this week. So this is a very nice soft pale color after our bright colors from last week. I'm really enjoying that. So there we go. And I'm okay with the workday kind of fading into the backdrop a little bit. Again, really, really bright this week, and I loved it, but I don't necessarily need it to be that bright. Now, one thing, I did have to switch to a different fountain pen. So I don't, because my fountain pen, if you were with me last week, kept kind of squirting onto my page. And so I ended up having to, like, I got a big ink blotch here and things like that. So I ended up having to white out some things. And so I switched. So you can see I've got kind of a bluish gray color um, in the fountain pen because I chose this pen for the week and it was already inked with, I believe it's Molten Tin by the Birmingham Pen Company. And so it's a little bit different. I got out so this was my fountain pen, right, that I was using. I am not getting rid of it. I am just setting it to the side to see about fixing it. I don't want to put too much money into it because, again, the clip has broken off and everything. But I'm going to see if I can play around with it a little and do some tweaks to it. So I'm not getting rid of it, but I got out my other TWSBI pens. This one has nothing in it right now. It is dry. So even though it's got, it's showing a little bit of ink, it's dry. But this is my TWSBI Diamond pen. And then these are all the other TWSBI Echoes. I do have one other one. It used to belong to Malcolm, and he didn't like it. And I understand why. It tends to get on your fingers when you write. So I'm taking that, and it's also, this one's very, very scratchy. So I'm taking that out of the equation, but I do have these 3 pens. They were all inked already. This one has a purple in it. This one has kind of a brownish color in it. This might be the copper color from Birmingham Pen Company. Let's see if I have that one handy. This copper head, I think that's what this is. I could be wrong. Could be something else. But it's a very coppery color with some sparkles in it. I'm not going to empty a pen in order to use it in here. So even though I do kind of prefer having, if we look back, so here's last week with that kind of grayish blue color. And then the week prior, we had black. I do kind of prefer to have black in the weekly because it doesn't really detract from the other things that I'm writing in here, or the other colors that I'm using. But I think this worked fine for this week because we do have, blue in the sky and such, and the gray in Gandalf's cloak. So it went fine this week, and I think I'm going to probably pick one of these, maybe even this brownish, coppery color for this week. So I'm saying that because I'm trying to decide for myself, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to use this one right now. So it doesn't have that much ink in it, but it should be enough to get me through the week. So let's go ahead and put our meeting. See, I want it to make sure that it is something that will show up against the background colors, and all of these should do that. Trying to think if I have a little piece of scrap paper here that I could that I could write on that's just paper. I have a lot of like sticker paper, but not a lot of, here we go. So my color choices for this week are this and this pen and this purple, which I do love. It's a really pretty purple, but I don't know that it's going to fit with this kind of color scheme. And then this, which I used last week, which is more of a gray. It comes out as really purple, but it actually fades as it dries to more of a gray. So those are my colors that I have as choices. I think I'm going to stick with this one. I like it. I'm happy with my choice. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and put these ink bottles up here on the weekend. You would think by now that I would have all this stuff, I would be in the habit and have all this stuff planned before I start um, doing my week here in the book, but I never do. Never have it planned ahead of time. That would make too much sense, right? So we have our little, let's put a little weekend banner there since we have them. I'm thinking let's do this brown to kind of coordinate with what we got going on down here. All right. So now we have the basic structure of the week. Now I have to add in all of the anomalies for the week, and there are quite a few. So at 1 o'clock here, I'm going to do that. And we have got the annual mammogram. And then I do want to put in, I also have down here 5:30. And I'm going to do 2 lines for this one as well. This is my haircut. I think I might have a sticker for that. If not, I've got plenty of stickers that will work for that. On the way there, though, I do want to go to Planet Fitness. Same with Wednesday. And Friday. And then I have my call with Kim on Wednesday. I am talking to my friend Dana on Friday. Just get those in there. And we have got date night. And you plan with me over here. And then I need to put in, I want to put in a couple things up here. I need to check into the flight. And pack. I think. Although, okay, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I go a little bit later in the week this time. I don't think this is the time that I go. I think I go Wednesday. I think maybe that happens on next Tuesday, because I think I leave Wednesday and I go through Saturday. I have my big meeting on the 13th, which they just confirmed, but they didn't give me a time yet. I am going to go ahead and put this in blue. This is the Marriott meeting. Okay. On that day. So I am going to be in Florida for 4 days here and then probably 4 days here. Although I'm not sure, we're still trying to decide. Malcolm might come down with me early, so we might go early and then come back on the Wednesday instead. But I'd like to have 2 full days when I'm down there at least. So yeah, that's so I don't have to do this stuff in the morning. That is different. I was thinking of the one because I was going to go down on Monday the next time. So I was thinking of that. So that'll go away. I will do that on Tuesday of the following week. So that's not this week. So see, this is why I need to write it all down, because I tell you what, I get very I get in my brain that I need to do a thing, and then it just kind of overwhelms my daily task list because I'm constantly thinking about that I have to do that thing. So this is the worm full moon. And this is that time of year. The reason that it's the worm full moon is this is the time of year when the ground starts warming up a little bit. And so you'll start to notice the worms start to come up and you'll see them a little bit more. You don't see that in the winter because they're down below the surface where it is warmer. When the ground is frozen. And so right about March is when the worms start to kind of come up a little bit. And this is also National Pancake Day. And so if you have a local IHOP or such, they have a free short stack on Pancake Day, and some other places might do that as well. So if you are in the market for a good pancake breakfast, Tuesday is your day this week. So that's why I wrote it on the calendars, because I know they're doing free short stacks that day. This day, what I did want to write down, and now I don't have that same amount of room. So let's see if we can't find a we'll see if we can't find a sticker or something to cover that. This is one of those times when I will often come back into here, into these stickers that I didn't use from previous year kits. and look for something that goes well with the different colors. And also with kind of how I'm feeling about the thing, whatever it may be. What do I want to do? I'm clearly not good at making decisions this morning. It's one of those mornings that it's just not, my decision-making brain has clearly left my head for the day. Goodness. How about this? I'm going to take this because it kind of makes sense with what I want to put on here. So there is that. And then in my annual stickers, I have little here we go. This is daylight savings time. And so I have little spring forward, fall back. I am going to put this one here. Lost an hour of sleep. Just right in the middle of the flowers for the spring. You know, we've got some spring flowers. So rather than rewriting that it's daylight savings time or adding this very last sticker that I have here for spring forward, which clearly I remember the spring forward more often than fall back. But I'm just going to put lost an hour of sleep because that is happening. And then what else have we got going on this week? We have the Coffee Monsters Co. I believe that's 2. So maybe we can get a coordinating something cute like this with the, is that not a pistachio there? So that's usually at 2 that she does her sales. So we'll just put that, and then I have plenty of these in different styles. So we'll just take that one and note that that is going to be a sale day. This is the shop anniversary sale. So I might write that in. She has had the shop now for 10 years. And so I'm writing that in because I might want to go comment in the Facebook group, you know, a little happy anniversary. I won't necessarily write my own post because I know she gets overwhelmed on sale days, and I really don't want to add to any stress that she might have. But that'll be nice. Something I just would like to say maybe a quick thank you in response to a post that she already adds. I did forget to put almost my week 10 here. Let's do that. I've been flipping back here a whole bunch. I should have seen it, but I did not. Again, my brain seems to be working against me today, so bear with me. It will all work out. There we go. Now we'll put our sleep tracker in because I know I will want that. Let's get our times in. I've been fairly close to 7 hours a night this week, and that is pretty good for me if it's consistent. I did notice that if I get more than that, sometimes I have trouble sleeping the next night, and that did happen this week. So where I got 7 hours several days in a row or really close to it. And then I just had trouble sleeping the next night. I had trouble falling asleep and I didn't sleep very well. So, my goal is to increase my sleep so that I feel better. Um, oh, hey, welcome back, Keisha. Oh, yeah, you have this one from a friend? This is a super cute washi. I love this one. Um, it's just got so much detail to it. It makes it really fun. Um, but I am going to be swatching some ink, and you guys will see that on Tuesday. So it felt like it made sense to use it this week. So I have got my sleep tracker, and let's go ahead and put that really, really light line at 8. I was saying I did really well at like getting 7 hours of sleep. 8 is the goal, but not if it makes me have trouble sleeping the next night. Like, I don't want to sleep 8 hours and then just really, really struggle the next evening falling asleep. So, I kind of fell off. I had these 2 days where it was pretty good. I was over 7 hours, and then I just kind of fell back off. Um, yeah, 7 hours is a lot for me. Um, And so really struggled to sleep here. And then I was a little tired, so I got a little bit more. And then again, I struggled to fall asleep. So, um, still a work in progress. um, I did complete my 4 drone lessons that I intended to do. And these are not, because these are washi stickers, they don't, I can't check them off with my fountain pen is what I realized, and so I get to check them off over here, which is fine. And I also completed lesson 5, and then I have to finish. I'm in the middle of unit 4 on this. That it's a little bit more involved than what I expected, because we're starting to cut videos, and so I have 5 and 6. Hopefully, I'll get those done today. But I do want to keep up on those. And I liked having them on the sidebar here instead of in my list here. I just put work on courses. And obviously I did it more than that, but I didn't mark it in. These were fairly short, so I did well on those. But if you remember from the goals, we are trying to get through the drone course, which is 34 lessons. So we're going to be at 1 lesson per day. And Kara's vlogging course. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on my week again. So yeah, this week went really well. Even though it was really busy, I did get a lot of stuff done. So I'm not complaining that it was busy, but it was crazy busy. So let's put a couple lines there for that. And then couple lines here for this one. So, and then I will try and do check boxes again, I think. So I like those. Let's just do kind of this muted blue this time. Down here. And I'm going to put the 7 lessons on the bottom. Just because I don't want to do 7 check marks down here. That seems a little bit excessive. So we will do Kara's vlog course. And I'm not going to put in what units I'm doing yet because I don't know what I'm going to finish this today. And then I will do the, what did I call it? Drone flying course or drone skill lessons. So it's interesting because it's not really skills. I'm really learning more about the actual high-end drone that I have. I'm just going to write here 1 per day. And I will make little tick marks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. If I do, I may do 2 in a day, but I want to average 1 per day. So this way I can see like if I'm falling behind. I did most of my drone lessons on Monday and Wednesday of last week. And so, yeah, I love the check mark boxes too. They're absolutely adorable. I wish that I could write on them with the fountain pen. I mean, I can, but it wipes right off because of that washi paper. So she does make it, I believe, in a regular sticker paper. So I might want to get that next time and think about the fact that I want to be able to write on them. I can write on them with like a Sharpie and that would work. But, and I think I did that at some point in the past. Trying to think, was it here or the week before? Maybe my, in this week I used the ones that were stickers because they came with that kit. I didn't do that last week. I used these washi ones and the washi ones don't work as well. But interestingly, I did do this. So now that I'm looking at it, I did finish that one because I'm into the next one. And this payment finished processing, but it has not gone to my bank yet. It is in the middle of transit. It's in that magical place where money disappears so that someone can earn interest on it while we wait for it to hit our bank. It has left one person's bank, it goes to another person's bank, and there's that magical moment in the middle where somebody is making money on our money. I'm certain of it. But it's in that place right now. So, normally, like if I send an email to somebody and it has to travel electronically, it makes it there, even if it has to go through all the little scam detectors and everything, it'll make it there within 5 minutes. So I don't know why my finances need to take, several days to move from bank to bank, but they do. So yeah, it is what it is. This is Cereal Day and Women's Day. Maybe we can put those on there. Maybe we can at least put Cereal Day. Let's get Cereal Day on there. That sounds like a fun one. Maybe that'll prompt me to get some cereal for that day. Yeah, it can take, that's what they say. It can take up to 21 days. Like, really? Where? Where does it go? It's anything else electronic takes a matter of minutes, except banking. And they wonder why we're always skeptical of what they're doing. All right, let's see. We are going to look at the forecast. What have we got coming up this week? Okay. It's going to be an interesting week. It is supposed to rain all week, but it's also supposed to, at least it depends on which forecast as to whether or not the drive to work is going to be a pain in the butt tomorrow or not. I am hoping this forecast looks a little better because this is all above freezing. Let's keep it. If How does it feel to retire the white Twisby? Oh, that's a really good question. I miss this pen. It wrote so smoothly, and it was such a nice pen. I do miss it. I don't love having a color other than black because it has to coordinate with everything, and I worry that it's not going to coordinate with all the things. And then when I go to do, for example, this looks different to me now, and I don't love it that it's different because it doesn't have that like kind of cohesive all over look. Um, However, the colors that I do have are pretty, and I'm kind of excited to get to use some colors in the fountain pens again. So I really just the first couple days when it was different, and I was like, oh, I don't love that because it's different. But we get so set in our ways with our planner that it was kind of nice all of a sudden that it was different. So I'm embracing it a bit more now, but it was a little took a little bit to get used to the fact that it was so different. Um, I've gone kind of fuzzy. It's interesting. Let's see what we can. Hmm. See if it can do something to trigger it to focus more down here. Come on, focus. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Um, anyway, it was supposed to snow overnight. Now it's not saying that. It's going to, I guess it is. It's going to rain, kind of rain snow overnight tonight. But then it should be fine, I guess, by tomorrow. And then it looks like we're going to creep up enough. We've got 65 and 50 here with showers. 65 and 53. Again with showers. Oh, that's supposed to be thunderstorms. 68 and 55. But see here, we're well above freezing. So as long as those temperatures hold, we should be fine this week. And then Friday, 76 and 50. Also with thunderstorms. It's going to rain all week long. Look at this. It's crazy. Saturday, 58. Because, of course, it hates me, right? It's going to be in the 60s all week, 70s. And then the weekend when I have time off, we're going to be back down to 58 and 40. goodness, with rain. That's the weather for you. And then it looks like Sunday will be pretty nice. We've got 65 and 48, and it looks like we're finally through that rainy period. So it is literally supposed to rain all week long here, um, and the whole first part of next week as well. Um, so that's interesting. We'll have to see what ends up happening. Um, I did not keep track of what actually happened this week. Again, because we were busy, I didn't put in the weather like I usually do. So I usually remember, but not always. Um, but I'm going to have to get those in on this week so that we can see what it looks like um, all done, whether it did actually rain all those days or not. We went to, I do want to show you, we went to this science and engineering fair at the Science Museum. So here in St. Louis, the Science Museum is free. You do have to pay for parking if you want to park in the lot, but there is street parking nearby. And so yesterday we went to the Science Museum and I collected all kinds of little science stickers. And so I just made a page about it. Um, and I ended up, I had to have this really cute um, washi that looks like a chalkboard. So I just put those along the back and then arranged the stickers. And then I turned my page sideways and wrote two little blurbs sideways um, just to make it a. There we go. Okay. I just kind of played with the Wi-Fi a minute. So I was saying that we had a great time, even though it was kind of geared more towards kids at the engineering expo, because we were able to, Malcolm's been playing with our 3D printer a little bit, and we were able to get some questions that he had answered. He's been working on designing things himself rather than just like purchasing a 3D print. And so he had a great time with that. Talking to some of the guys, there was a 3D printing table. And so he got to find out some stuff about that. I got to get an updated aeronautical chart for the state of Missouri so that I can figure out where would be a good place to go and practice with the drone once I finally get through the general about my particular drone and I get onto the maneuvers. Then that will be really nice to have that aeronautical chart. We got some cute little Lego kits to build little Lego vehicles. We got all kinds of stuff. So yeah, he's feeling a lot better. He can, not back to 100%. I think one of the things that people don't tell you. So when you deal with something like a hernia, right, you start to get kind of progressively worse. So there was about a year where we were really cut down our activity because it was causing discomfort. And so even though we're back to kind of where he was before the surgery, we're not back to where he was before he started feeling badly, if that makes sense. Um, so we're having to slowly ramp up our activity levels again. Um, so, uh, so yeah, so the short answer is he's doing better. The long answer is there'll be obviously some more recovery to come. And so, hang on, they're right in my office. I can show you the Lego builds. We built them. We built them last night. They were very cute and they're very tiny and very easy to show here on the screen. So this was the one that I built. It is a little digger, little construction toy, and this is or construction build, and then this is the little police car that Malcolm built, and so we have these cute little vehicles out of Legos. So they were very fun to make. Yeah, we each got a little kit, and you didn't necessarily know what was in your kit, but it was a little bag, and then it had a little teeny tiny directions, and just a few pieces. But you know, they move and do all kinds of fun stuff. So that's neat. I'm a big fan of Legos. Always have been. When my kids were little and they would go to bed, I would play with their Legos. So I don't have kids around the house now, so I have to go to events like this to get my own Legos, I guess. Um, all right, so that is the top part, I think, managed. We are going to put in our bars down here. For some reason, this particular Tombow never wants to close all the way. Every once in a while, I get one like that that's fiddly, and you just have to pay really close attention to make sure that you actually get it tight. Oh, you're a Lego fan too? Yay! They are so much fun, and I think it is so unfair that we don't still get to play with them as adults because I love Legos. Uh, when my kids were little, they had Harry Potter Legos and they had Star Wars Legos, and they were so much fun. Um, and now my grandkids have all those Legos, which is great. I'm really happy that they get to enjoy them because the reality is I wouldn't play with them as often as they do, but I like playing. Yeah, these colors are nice and soft and calm. Last week was so vibrant that it's just nice to have that kind of change up this week. So they're very soft and pretty. And I'm liking this fountain pen color for the week. The only thing is, I think I'm still going to take probably my purple one with me because this one doesn't have that much ink in it. See, I'm pretty low on the ink. And I want to make sure that I am able to fill in anything else that comes up during the week because I don't remember which ink I have in here. um, and so, you know, um, I can put another ink in here and I think I know which one it is, but if I'm wrong, then it's going to be different. So I just want to get through this week with this ink. So when I write at work, I write a lot. So maybe I'll take this with for the writing at work, and then this one uh, for the week. Um, Yes, Legos are definitely timeless. My grandson would be very jealous that you have Minecraft. One of my grandsons is very, very into Minecraft. Um, he absolutely loves it. So the other one is a little bit younger, but he's getting into it as well. I am a little behind on my watching for February. I need to fill in the rest of what we watched in February. I only got that far, and I know I still have some more to do. Um, So I need to get that page filled out. But we've been watching some fun stuff. But there have been a lot of days. So one of the things that I mentioned is I don't know if I'm going to carry this kind of page all the way through the year, because as it starts to warm up, I start to not watch as much. So if we look, at this week, I didn't watch anything 4 out of 7 nights. This last week, I watched probably a half hour of this, you know. um, we've watched a little bit, but it really hasn't been very much. It's been like an hour here or maybe a half hour there. So I haven't really watched too much. Tick Tick Boom, I'm not through with. That's a musical. And I've been watching it before bed, and I started here. And I have not finished it yet. So it's been a week and I still haven't finished one musical. So everything else is just maybe a half hour here or there. So I haven't been getting through as much media. Why am I putting eat? Oh, yep, that's right. Eating. Okay. Now here we have the alternate week 10. Here we have the Ferris wheel press. That is who I got my fountain pen inks from, that I am going to unbox with you. And we have the YouTube planner, week 9. And then I don't yet have a Thursday anything. Thursday video planned. And then this is the 31 weeks on YouTube. And our washi selection for the following week. I'll be traveling the following week, so I get to take a peek at those travel washis again. Maybe it'll be one of the travel washis. Or maybe it'll just be something sunshiny and summery, since I'll be in Florida. It's supposed to be nice down there, I think. And then the Plan With Me live again, and we're springing forward, so we're missing that hour of sleep before that live. So, maybe an extra cup of coffee before that. So I think that is this page good and done. I'm a little behind. So the Blackest Black for archival ink. Okay. Well, there's I believe it's Pelican. Pelican has something called Brilliant Black, but that's not archival. It is very black, but it's not an archival ink. This is probably what I would say is the blackest black I have. But the one that I like the most is this, the Diatramentus Archival Black. So I always have this on hand. And it's not just permanent, it's archival. So permanent will have like a water fastness, right? So it's not going to be as easy to get, if you spill something on your page, most fountain pen inks, when they react with water, will smudge and smear and everything. And a permanent ink will not do that. And so the permanent inks are great for that, but the archival ink also won't fade with sunlight or anything else, right? It is that more archival quality. So if you were going to sign, say, the Declaration of Independence, you would want an archival ink because you would want it to last and endure through the ages, right? Whereas if you are doing a planner, a permanent ink would probably be fine. This is going to be closed most of the time. It's not going to be exposed to sunlight, and it should last through through at least the end of my lifetime, right? My heirs and their heirs and such might not be able to still read it. It might fade by then, but it's going to at least last through my life with a permanent ink. Now, this ink that I'm using right now is neither permanent nor archival. This is a decorative ink. Decorative inks are different in that, you know, this may fade. So I may lose a few of these pages. And that's one of the reasons that I prefer to work with the archival ink. Same with this page, right? These things might fade over time. And there's nothing I can really do about that other than, you know, trying to use an archival or a permanent ink more often. The problem is that archival and permanent inks don't have the pretty sheens and shimmers and things like that because that's part of, you know, they're usually not included in those permanent and archival inks. However, the Ferris Wheel Press order that I have, Ferris Wheel Press came out with their very first permanent ink. And so I got it. I'm very excited about it. It's a blue and it does have some sparkle to it. And so I'm really excited to see how it looks in person and to get to play with it. To have a permanent ink that has some sparkle in it is absolutely amazing. That is the only one of the inks that I can actually use in the fountain pen. The other three inks that I got were calligraphy inks, and they are opaque, but they're not to be used in a fountain pen. So they'll be dip pen inks that I can use with blackout paper. And so that is what I'm unboxing. But I'm really, really excited to have a permanent ink that has a little bit of sparkle to it. I have several permanent inks that I have on hand that don't have that don't have sparkle. Most of them are Diatramentus inks. So I have this one, for example, is a really nice one. This is green gray, and it's got this really kind of nice grayish green to it. But again, it is a matte ink. It doesn't have a color character to it. And so, yeah, it's not quite as black as a Uniball. Part of that is also going to depend on your pen size, your nib size. And so the nib size will help determine how much ink it's laying down. I like an extra fine in the TWSBI because it is a Taiwan pen. If you're doing like a really fancy, like the Pilot Japanese pen, then you probably want to go down a nib size, or up a nib size, excuse me, because their nibs are much skinnier. So like a fine in a Japanese pen is going to be an extra fine in a Taiwanese pen. So yeah, it just depends on, you know, what your combination is. The archival ink is not a super wet ink, so you can get away with using a thicker nib because it's not going to lay down as much it's not going to lay down as much ink, um, because that is a drier ink. So there's a whole bunch of, like, there are people who are way more knowledgeable on fountain pens than I am. It is really just a hobby. I mean, I use it every day, but you can see I don't swap out my fountain pens all that often. I have my favorites and I tend to stick with them. Um, but from what I understand, like, this is also, this right here is an extra fine, right? And see how fat the writing looks compared to this? This is an extra fine as well. And the writing, looks thinner, right? This the black than even with this pen. And it has to do with the fact that these inks are wetter because they're not archival inks, right? And so they are very, very wet inks, whereas this archival ink that's in this one, it has a bit, I think, more alcohol in it, and so it doesn't lay down as quickly. And so you can get away, it seems to write thinner. So that's that's the extent of my knowledge on that, but I think I'm somewhat accurate on that. I could be wrong. We never know. Uh, yeah, I highly recommend the Echo. So I have the Echo. I have several Echoes in my stash that I love, and I have one diamond. And I don't love this. It's fine. It's not horrible or bad or anything. I do not, this is almost twice as expensive as these, and I do not find it writes twice as nice. So for the money, I would stick with the Echo. Just my personal opinion. I don't think the diamond is worth extra money. Having said that, something like a Pilot Decimo is worth the money. This writes significantly better than these. But I don't use it very often because, for one thing, the converter is, look at how tiny that is. Super, super tiny. And so I don't feel comfortable using it every day because I would have to ink it like every other day in order, with the amount of writing that I do. Right? And the other thing is, I'm afraid to throw it in my purse because look at what happens to pens that I throw in my purse. You know, this it is eaten up by my purse. So the last thing I feel like I want to do is take a, $140 pen and toss it in my purse. And so I'm really precious about this one, which means for me, it's not as useful. It's pretty. I love having it, but it doesn't get used very often. So, yeah, that's my problem too. Yeah, I have to ink those every 2 days. Whereas these, I can ink these once a month. These things I inked, and they also don't dry out. TWSBI Echo has a really, really good sealing system in their cap. So these pens, these three, I pulled out. I have not inked these since before I moved to St. Louis, and I moved to St. Louis Christmas of 2024. And these have been inked since before that time. And they still have ink in them, right? And it's still, I can pick them up and start writing with them, and they're fine. And I love that. So Now this one was inked around the same time and it is totally dry, the diamond. So its cap is not as, it didn't seal as well. Again, they're all nice. There's nothing wrong with the diamond. I like it. It's a nice pen. I just don't think that it's worth the extra money over the regular Echo pen. So that's my little my little 2 cents on the Twisbees. I love the Echoes. The Echoes are consistent, reliable, fantastic, everyday, great pens. It's not the premium writing experience of like a fancy, really super expensive pen like the Decimo, but it's a very, very consistent, great pen. So, yeah, I have all of mine are extra fine with the exception of this Pilot. The Pilot is, the Pilot that I have is a fine, again, because it's a Japanese pen. And so I have a fine nib in that. But yeah, you won't go wrong with an Echo. I think the Echo is a great pen. And it's recognizable. As soon as you have one of these, people in the fountain pen world kind of know it well, because I think it's everyone's toe dip into a higher end pen. So yeah, you can definitely tell. I mean, the styling is the difference between these two is this is just a sleeker, much more well-styled pen. And it feels great in the hand. I didn't think I would like this being here, but it actually is great for where you place your pen. So you don't have to think about where you place your hand. I can place this pen correctly without thinking about it for writing. I thought I wanted the Vanishing Point, but the Vanishing Point is a bigger pen, and it feels really heavy in the hand, and I didn't like the way it felt. The Decimo, I love the way it feels. It's a very smooth, slim, very well-made pen. But again, I'm not going to throw this in my purse, so it's not quite as useful for me. So, you know, if you're going to start with a higher end pen, I would start with one that you're comfortable taking everywhere. And so I would stick with the Twisby Echo. The writing experience, this is my favorite writing experience pen on the Pilot Decimo. It is like writing, it's like butter. I mean, it's so smooth and so, it feels so luxurious to write with it. You know what, I'm going to throw in this green and I'll show you. And I love writing with it. It's a really pretty color. But again, this cartridge is very small. So you're only going to get enough to write for like a day, which I guess is great if you want to change colors every day. Yeah, it's so smooth and so nice and so elegant. That and I have some dupes for things like the Echo and such. The writing experience is not the same in those. One of the other things is this has a little area here to tell you in a slot, so you can't put it in the wrong way. It won't fit anywhere but where it's supposed to. And I'm going to grab this. So I've got here that Rosy Flow planner because I'm not using the dailies in here for anything else. But see, I probably need to clean this. Again, this is a little bit fiddlier than some of my other pens because it is so nice. There we go. I probably should have cleaned it before putting new ink in it. But this is a super smooth writing experience, and this fine nib writes like a extra fine. So see how much skinnier it looks? It is just, it's a super smooth once it starts to write. And again, this is just because I left it. It hasn't had ink in it for like a month, and so it probably had just a little bit of dried ink down there at the point. And so it just needed to get it going. But once it goes, it is a reliable it's a reliable pen that feels great in the hand. It feels really well balanced. You know exactly where you need to hold it. You know, I could pull it out of my pocket and I can just start writing, and I don't have to even look at where the nib is, because I know that if I have my hands on or my fingers on either side of this, that it is in the right spot. So I love it, but again, it's not going to make it into my daily because I'm so afraid to, yeah, this was my first over $100 pen, and I am very afraid to write with this. Take it anywhere. I also have this one. This is the Lord of the Rings pen, so it matches my ring. This was right around $100 as well. This is a thicker pen, a little bit. I don't remember what nib size I got on it, but I would assume it would be about the same. This is a really pretty pen. It writes nicely. One of the things that I don't like on this is that this does not stay posted well. So as I start to write, this will fly off and it will end up in my, on the ground on somewhere. And then I have to go find it in order to cap the pen. But this is a nice thin pen also. You can see their barrel thickness is about the same. But again, it's probably going to run out of ink pretty soon. Or pretty quickly. But this does hold its ink well because I inked it for that video that you watched, that unboxing, and I have not inked it since. So it has held its ink. I picked it up and it wrote right away. So that's nice. That's a sign of a good seal with the cap. And then I also have this one that I got at that same pen show the same day I got the Decimo. And this is a custom made pen, so it's a one of a kind. And it's super pretty, but it's out of ink right now as well. So it's got, looks like it has ink, but it doesn't want to write right now. But those are my kind of fancier pens. Yeah, this one just, it's not, it needs a little encouragement to write. It's feeling very dry. But yeah, this one, it turned out to be a good pen. I'm not, I find Ferris Wheel Press, I love their inks, but I find their pens to be hit or miss. So I always kind of hesitate to recommend their pens. But this pen is fantastic. I love it. Again, I'm not going to throw this in my purse. It doesn't have a little clip to hold it in place anywhere on my planner, and so it would just end up lost in the bottom of my purse and banging around with other things, and it would end up looking awful and ruined. So you have the Pilot Metropolitan. Oh, very nice. That's a really good pen. But yeah, you've got to be careful between the pens and the ink combined. So if you're finding that your ink spreads a bit too much, I'm going to suggest going with this. I have it linked in my description always. The Diatramentis, the archival version of the ink. So this one is archive ink, not just document ink. Diatramentis makes a document ink, but the archive ink is even drier, and it has been writing beautifully in my just scribbles. So that's what I typically have used. So if we go back and look at, all of this, this is that document ink, or the archival ink in the just scribble. Everything that's black here is with this archival ink. If you're finding that you have inks that put down just a bit too much, that's what I would suggest, is try a bit drier ink first. If you love your fountain pen and you don't want to get a new fountain pen, because ink is always cheaper than a fountain pen. So, if you can try a new ink, that might save you some money rather than having to get a whole new pen. Most of what I've written with are the TWSBI Echo Extra Fines. But I was saying, so this is an extra fine and this is an extra fine. This is the archival ink, and these are in the TWSBI Echoes. So it's the difference between these two. These are the two pens that I used on this particular spread. They're the exact same pen with the exact same nib size. And so this is with the archival ink, and then this is with a decorative ink from Birmingham Pen Company. So this is their molten tin in this one. And so you can see that this one's thicker than this. But again, same nib size, same style of pen. So yeah, a drier ink might work. So I would try that, especially if you really love your Pilot Metropolitan, because that's a really nice pen. Maybe I don't know what size nib you're working with, but maybe try a drier ink before you go trying a new pen. We're all about you know, not spending unnecessary money. Although having an excuse to buy a new fountain pen is not always necessarily a bad thing. So if you are needing an excuse to buy a new fountain pen, then absolutely you need a new fountain pen with an extra fine nib for sure. But if you don't need an excuse to buy a new pen, then you know, try a drier ink. It's so nice to have the colorful inks because they do show really, really well on this paper. This paper really does pick up all of those color variations very, very well in these inks. And so I really do like them, but the decorative inks, but they do tend to be a bit wetter. So, well, excellent. If you need an excuse, then absolutely you need an extra fine pen. Uh, so, um, but yeah, I think I'm good on this part of this page. So I'm gonna really quick put in my task list for the week while we're still chatting here. I get carried away chatting about fountain pens. And see, here's where I'm going to run into a problem because everything is all matchy-matchy over here, and I don't have any black, right, of the, you know, black color because I'm not using this pen. I'm using this one. But now when I turn the page, I have to make my lines in with the Sharpie or with something that is not a fountain pen because we don't put fountain pens alongside rulers. Especially metal rulers, because that's just not a good thing. Um, so, yeah, well, I'm going to pick my two colorful colors for this, for my LOTR task list. I didn't get very far with my task list this week. I had so many things pop up at work that I was just kind of running around putting out fires all day and not really writing things down. I was just getting them done as they came at me. So go ahead and put that there and here. But I did end up on last week on the LOTR list. I ended up using my Rivendell washi at the bottom of the page, and I love that. So I'll show you here in a second. When I did my alternate plan with me, I do that in the hybrid planner, and I have so much more room that I had space to have my the Rivendell washi, and so I had to find somewhere to use it because, you know, we've got the Shire and Gandalf and we've got the Hobbit hole, and so I got to use the Rivendell washi down here on the bottom. I was very excited. um, oh, I'm so excited that you got March almost all set up. I love that. I can't wait to see what the new. So make sure you take a picture before the pen. Remember to take a picture so that we can see it because that's awesome. I anytime I can see a new layout, I love that. I'm going to continue with the black here. This is. I do like this S gel pen, but I kind of, you know, I miss fountain pens when I write with it. So this is March 2nd through 1/8. Is that right? Let's see, 2. Okay. So you're thinking you don't need the pocket this week, your pocket planner? Really? I'm interested to see your planning setup for this week, for sure. Because that's a big change, right? To not have the pocket for the week. That'll be really interesting. So I love the way this turned out. I'm going to have a little fountain pen. See, I think these are all Tombows here, but somewhere I have a fountain pen. There goes one. Just that little one. And I have this box full of fountain pens. I'm just looking for a coordinating sticker. So I've got some here. And then I think, where did I put those? I have these, but I don't really, I'm saving those for kind of more when I want to put like this belongs to or something like that. That craft paper is nice, but it doesn't necessarily coordinate with what I've got going on here. I guess it would be fine, but I don't really have anything to write in there, so I'm not going to use that one. So where is it? I'm going to go to I have a huge section in here of books and writing and crafting and art stickers. So testing a new format in the weekly duo. Oh, excellent. That's fantastic. Yeah, if you have a lot of stuff going on that you need to be keeping track of, having multiple planners is sometimes very, very helpful. Okay, so let's see. I have all these fountain pen stickers, but I need something a little bit smaller. Those are a little bit big. Here we go. We have got fountain pens. I have all kinds of fountain pen stickers. So these are gel pens. All right. I do have little ink bottles. These are very cute. Maybe I can get one of these and one of the shiny fountain pen stickers. Let's see. Let's take this green ink bottle and one of these fountain pen stickers. Ooh. Oh, see, now I'm distracted. I have other ink. uh, okay. Let's see. I can put this. Let's put this here because I'm going to have my ink swatching video come out on with my new inks that day. And do I want? I want this one. We're going to put this right here in this corner and let's put this blue. And just like that. And I just have just enough room to keep marking my uh, to mark off my drone lessons. There we go. All right, we get a little bit of sparkle here. But yeah, on my Elster task list, I barely used it this time. I am going to need to move some things from this week to next. But I fell off of using this. I tried to keep up with it, but a lot of times when I have a lot of things coming at me, I am just kind of handling things as they come, and I don't take the time to write them down. So I may go back in and write down some of the things I remember from this week, or I may not. It really depends because I still have a lot on my plate for today. So we will see how that goes. But that is this week. I think we are just about done wrapping things up today. Yeah, I don't know, Keisha, that the fountain pen one will be super long because I do only have 4 inks that I got. However, I did on the inks, I did get 3 of those inks that need to be on blackout paper as well. So I need to swatch them 3 times instead of 2. So it may be a little bit longer with that, but and then after I swatch all that ink, I will be changing out this ink stained desk pad for a bright new, I have a purple one now. It's that I'll use for a while until it gets bad as well. This is why we have the desk pad, so we ruin the desk pad and not the desk, right? So anyway, I think that is where I will leave you this week. I know there's going to be more things that come up as the week goes on. There always are. But, I'll always take you back and show you what those were as they came up as we move forward. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see you guys on and off throughout the week. If anybody has an idea for something they would like to see on Thursday, let me know in the comments of this video or another video. I read all the comments for all the videos, so let me know and we'll see if we can't get a video popped in here as well. Talk to you guys soon. Bye. Have a great week.